What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Welcome back to another late night in the BrewLab with me, Lone Fox. And tonight in the BrewLab, I'm coming at you with some sweet, sweet new cards. Finally, they are here. It is officially spoiler season. Oh my goodness, I've been waiting for this moment for what feels like ages. I don't know why. I think maybe because the card pool is so small right now. It's just like a little bit tougher to play through this last few weeks. So finally they're here. The speculation can begin. There's a lot of spoilers on Mythic Spoiler, so I'm not going to waste too much time. I'm going to do these things without any prep. This is going to be my style of doing these spoilers. I'm going to look at these for the first time. Other than the cards that they spoiled in the little video on YouTube that they did, I haven't seen anything else. So this is my first time going through this. And then we can sort of learn together and discuss in the comments. So they completed the set of the cycle of these dual lands, and that is freaking sweet. So basically, bye snarls. Like, I don't see any reason why I would play snarls at this point. I'd probably just go for these and the pathways in every single one of my decks that's dual color. These are so sweet, and the art is incredible. So sweet. Really happy they did that. Still no tri-land. Then there's this thing, the Voldaran Estate. This they spoiled in the little YouTube video, but basically it's a it's Crimson Bar. The whole thing's a vampire wedding. For those of you who didn't watch the little video that Wizards put out, I'll leave a link in the description. But yeah, basically it's just a colorless land, tap to add a colorless mana, but you can pay 1 life, and you can add a mana of any color, and you can spend that mana only to cast vampire spells. But then you can pay 5 and tap and create a blood token. So these blood tokens are the new vampire thing. It's going to be interesting to see how they play out. But this ability costs 1 less to activate for each vampire you control. So it can essentially cost 0 because it only costs colorless. And if you've got more than 5 vampires on the battlefield, I think this ability ends up costing 0, and you can just start making these blood tokens. And a blood token is an artifact token that has pay 1, tap it, discard a card, sacrifice this artifact, draw a card. It's a little clunky. The new 1-drop from Midnight Hunt, the Falcon Wrath something, Pit something, where it's like if an opponent has lost life this turn, you can sacrifice a vampire, discard a card, and then you draw 2. It's kind of similar to that. There's like a lot that you have to do to draw. So this like discarding, hopefully they're going to give us stuff that, like, it's good that it ends up in the graveyard, like flashback or something like that, which there isn't much of in the black and red colors that vampires are in, mostly in Midnight Hunt. So let's see what happens with Crimson Bar. A cool little vampire land, maybe like a one-of. Then we've got this Griff Rider. First time I'm seeing this. Probably mostly draft chat. 3 mana, 2/1 flying with training, which is cool because it's a new mechanic. And it looks like it's gonna go with Coven, because it's in humans and Selesnya colors, white and green mostly. And training says that whenever this creature attacks with another creature with greater power, you put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Whenever this creature attacks with greater power. So at some point, if you keep putting counters on Griff Rider, that creature is no longer going to be of greater power. So it's kind of like you train it until it catches up, which is pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Interesting. It'd be cool to see how that goes along with Coven. Probably really well. This apprentice sharpshooter has reach as 1/4. Wow, that's pretty nice. There's potential if if there's some cool like rares with or mythics with training. Let's see. Next up, Gluttonous Guest. 2 colorless, 1 black, creature vampire. When Gluttonous Guest enters the battlefield, create a blood token. So boom. Whenever you sacrifice a blood token, you gain 1 life. Interesting. Common. 4 toughness. Nice. Probably more for draft. Here's our first werewolf. Is this double-sided? Let me see here. Yes. Had to be. Wary Prisoner, a 2/6 with 4 mana with Defender. And okay, so at nighttime it loses Defender and becomes a 6/6. Wow. That's pretty beastly for 4 mana. That's surprisingly good. I'm surprised it's not uncommon. I can't see the downside here. 4 mana is a lot, but 2/6 is a great blocker in the daytime, and then a 6/6 at night is nothing to be laughed at. Interesting. Nice one. Next up, a zombie Kraken. Rot-Tide Gargantua. A 5/4 for 5 mana, 3 colorless, 2 black. Zombie Kraken. With Exploit. Okay, so another new mechanic. So basically, as it enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice a creature. So if you don't, it's okay, it comes into the battlefield. Normally, if you do, then it usually comes to the battlefield with some added benefits. In this case, when it exploits a creature, each opponent sacrifices a creature. This exploit thing is going to be cool. I like the look of that. This card in particular is probably quite rubbish, but I like the exploit mechanic. It's going to be. I can already see another one here. Next up, Voldaren Bloodcaster. Oh, this is a dual-sided card. It's got the little sun. Ooh. Okay, I think they showed this one in the little video. This one's cool. I really like this card. Okay, so check this out. Basically, it's a 2/1. The 2-drop slot's going to be really crowded. So I don't know, but it's got flying, and whenever it or any other non-token creature you control dies, you create a blood token. And as soon as you have 5 or more blood tokens, you can transform Voldaren Bloodcaster, and it becomes the Bloodbat Summoner. And it suddenly becomes a 3/3 with flying, and at the beginning of combat on your turn, up to 1 target blood token you control becomes a 2/2 black bat creature with flying and haste, in addition to its other types. So you'd have stored up 5 of these blood tokens, and then you just start pumping out 2/2 bats every combat, and they have haste. So you're swinging in for 5 the moment it transforms, and then that becomes 7, and so on and so forth. And then you can start, I guess, putting more tokens on it, more blood tokens. I really like this card. Like I said, though, the problem seems to be now that the 2-drop slot in Vamps is going to be so contested. It'll be interesting to see which one of these vampires makes the cut. I like that it's a wizard. So for the whole tribal thing, we were waiting for a vampire wizard for a long time. I'll actually talk about that in the deck tech later today, because I'm doing a couple of vampire decks later, so tune in for that. The wizard is the only one that we were missing. We just got a bunch of good vampire warriors, and we've got vampire clerics, we've got vampire rogues. We did not have vampire wizards at all. So this is the first vampire wizard, and it's a cool dual-sided thing with all the bats and stuff. I think it's in my vampire party deck. This is going to go straight in on day 1, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Next up, Sigardus Summons. a 6-mana white enchantment with angels on it. Creatures you control with +1/+1 counters on them have base power and toughness 4, have flying, and are angels. What? That is nuts. That is nuts. Oh, that is such a cool finisher in like a counters deck. You start putting counters on things, and then you just slam this down on turn 6, and they all just get like. Too bad we lost. There were a lot of those cards like Basri's. When the Basri stuff was going on, where you could just like distribute counters over like a whole. Anyway, maybe we'll get one. Next up, Talia, Guardian of Treben, 2-mana human soldier for 2/1 with first strike. Non-creature spells cost 1 more to cast. That's including your own. I guess that's really good in this sort of like ever-developing sort of, what do they call it? Prison deck. You could play like Curse of Silence, turn 1, Talia, turn 2, Redain, turn 3. You've got your Elite Spellbinder, making things cost more, your Paladin class, making things cost more. You could completely shut out like these Izzet decks, try and get underneath them faster. And first strike's really, really good. Let's see. Now this is one that I saw already in the video before, and I couldn't wait to talk about. Dorothea, the Vengeful Victim. So it's Disturb is coming back. So out of the, I was speculating in the previous videos about which mechanics from Midnight Hunt would make it back to, would follow through into Crimson Vow. Disturb is one of those, but it's slightly different. In Midnight Hunt, it was a human that would, die, and then after Disturb, it would come back as a spirit version of itself. In Crimson Vow, it's they don't have the backside. It's a spirit that comes back as an aura. So it's kind of like the spirit's ghost or whatever hangs around. And so it starts off as a creature and then comes back and is a creature that is a spirit as it hits the battlefield, and then comes back when you cast it for Disturb cost as an enchantment aura that you can attach to your creatures most of the time. And that's really, really cool because, with the spirit lords that we have, the what's his name? Oh, is it the Benevolent Geist? No, it's not. Anyway, the new, all spirits you control get +1/+1, and stuff from your graveyard costs 1 less to cast, and it's not even legendary. You need to wait for your humans to die, and then you have to cast them for their Disturb cost, which is usually more, and then their spirits, and finally they get the +1/+1 off of him. In this case, they get the buff straight away because they're spirits as they hit the battlefield, and then they come back as auras that you can attach to your remaining spirits. If it's not a board wipe, but they just target things and they just keep coming back as auras, it's kind of a cool way of a little bit more durability against control decks that play black. So I like that. I like that a lot. I hope there's a lot of cool spirit auras. I like that type of deck. So let's see how that goes. Next up, Fell Stinger. Another one with the exploit mechanic. Death Touch 3/2 Zombie Scorpion. So this is the one from the little blog post that Maro did a few days ago. There was a creature type Zombie Scorpion. So it's an uncommon for 3 mana, 3/2 with Death Touch with exploit. And if you sacrifice a creature, and obviously the decayed zombies come to mind, then you can target a player, and you're probably going to be targeting yourself, and you draw 2 cards and you lose 2 life. Pretty cool. I guess in some weird mill deck, you could target the opponent, and they mill, or they draw their last 2 cards or whatever. I don't know. But it's probably just for you to draw a bit, and typical black card, you lose a little bit of life to get those 2 cards. But 2 cards is pretty good. Next up, massive Mite, a green instant, kind of typical. 1 mana green instant, +2/+2 and trample. This will be great in Magecraft deck. Although there's already something similar that also draws you a card. I don't know if this is better or worse. I'd probably rather draw a card as well as give trample. But +2/+2 is pretty good. So let's see. Probably more for draft. Wow, another really expensive white card. A sorcery by invitation only. It's cool that I'm noticing, and here's another one which I'll get to. There's like a little bit of the vampire stuff is like splishing out into white. So I'm wondering if there's like a Mardu vampire thing that can happen. Of course, I'm going to try that. But by invitation only, I beg your pardon. Choose a number, any number between 0 and 13. So here's this 13 again. And each player sacrifices that many creatures. So I choose a number. That's crazy. That's pretty crazy. Of course, if you have no creatures, then it doesn't matter. Or if you have creatures that when they die, you get a benefit, then even better. 5 mana. So an unforetold Doomscar price. That's not too bad. It's an interesting sweeper. Cool way of doing it and sliding in this like 13 theme again. I like it. Next up, Demonic Bargain. Here we go again with the 13. Exile the top 13 cards of your library, then search your library for a card. Put that card into your hand and shuffle. It's whack. That's super duper crazy. Like, you take such a risk that you're exiling the wrong stuff. You have to have a deck that somehow takes advantage of the fact that you have things in exile. And there are some, mostly in Historic, so I have a feeling that that's where this belongs. Apparently it's some sort of like call back to an old card from an old set that I don't remember. So it's, yeah, probably mostly for weird paper formats. I don't see any reason to play that in standard right now. I would think of something like what was the old oh my goodness, the Dimir Planeswalker with the no face. Oh my god, I'm drawing a blank. But you know the one I mean. Then you could cast your own stuff from exile, but otherwise I don't see why you would want to take such a risk. Anyway, next up, a legendary vampire 4-drop. And this is going to be important, and you'll see why, that it's legendary and it's a vampire. For those of you who haven't seen already the little video on YouTube from Wizards of the Coast, but I'll explain why more in a second. Beg your pardon. There we go. So whenever Anya, Maid of Dishonor, and/or one or more other vampires enter the battlefield under your control, create a blood token. Wow. This ability triggers only 1 each turn. Okay. Then you can pay 2 and sacrifice another creature or a blood token. Each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. I like that. I like that a lot. A Maid of Dishonor. Very nice. 4/5. 4-drop. Unfortunately, it is also very, very, very busy slot in the vampire deck. There's the Innistrad Predator. Yeah, card draw spells, stuff like that. Be interesting to see. Maybe like a 1 or a 2 of. And I'll explain, yeah, like I said, more about that in a second. Here's Grolnok, the Omnivore. I was thinking already of like putting this in like a changeling deck with all the changelings, and there is another couple of frogs. and then the card that's called Double Major, where you can like copy a legendary spell as you're casting it, and then the token it creates is legendary, so you could have multiple Groll knocks. And whenever a frog you control attacks, mill 3 cards. Whenever a permanent card is put into your graveyard from your library, exile it with a Croak counter on it. You may play lands and cast spells from among cards you own in exile with Croak counters on them. I really don't get this card. Like, it's one of those probably mostly made for Commander. Like, well, they were just having fun in the in the office. Frog Tribal. Roll knock the Omnivore. Alright, never mind. Now, this is why I was thinking about the little bit of splash of white in the vampire deck. Like, 'cause I saw this wedding announcement card. Basically, at the beginning of your end step, you put an invitation counter on wedding announcement. Every end step, no matter what. And then if you attack with 2 or more creatures this turn, you draw a card. So it's a white card with draw written on it, which is already pretty good. Otherwise, you create a 1/1 white. So if you don't draw a card and you didn't do any attacking, you create a 1/1 white human creature token. Then if wedding announcement has 3 or more invitation counters on it, you transform it, and it becomes, I'm hoping we have the other side here, yes, it becomes wedding festivity, where all creatures you control get +1/+1. So it's like, if they haven't, and I hope they will, at some point announce either in black or red, some kind of vampire lord, anthem effect. Otherwise, we might have to splash white to obtain that in the form of wedding festivity. But I quite liked the way it's done, and you get these little 1/1 humans that you can use as sack fodder, and you've got cards that already in Midnight Hunt that whenever something dies, they get a +1/+1 counter. So that could be pretty cool. Next, Dominating Vampire. 3 mana, 3/3. When an ETBs gain control of target creature with mana value less than or equal to the number of vampires you control until end of turn. Untap that creature against haste. Wow, that's nice. That is nice. Oh, wow, that is really, really nice. Like, even, early game, mid game, late game, because you just keep having more vampires, and then they can play a bigger and bigger creature. If you're playing like green or something, it doesn't matter, because you can always just take it, gains haste. That's really, really good. And then maybe have a sacrifice thing after, and you just sacrifice the opponent's card with a village rights or something. That is a really nice vampire. Unfortunately, again, on the very busy 3-drop slot, maybe just like a 2 of. I'll explain why I'm struggling to see, like, we've already got a lot of vampires. It's going to be hard to figure out which ones are the best. It's hard for me to tell now with, because I've been building a lot of vampire decks. Once all these new ones come in, which of the old ones are going to have to, say bye-bye. Or if not, maybe some of these are just not good enough. But yeah, we did get a Planeswalker, like predicted. I can't wait till we get there. Next up, Geistlight Snare. Instant speed, 3 mana. This spell costs 1 less to cast if you control a spirit. And it also costs 1 less to cast if you control an enchantment. So Disturb comes back as an aura, which is an enchantment. So this will always cost 1 less if you have one of those cards in play. Counter target, or will it eventually cost, will it stack? Will it be 2 less if you have both? It looks like it. So then it's only 1 blue for a, wow. That is crazy. Counter target spell unless you control a space 3. That's really, really good. I think that's really, really good. And it's something that deck really, really needed. Woohoo! That's going to be great in the Spirits deck. A 1 mana counter for a tempo deck is essential. It's kind of like the one they have in the party deck, but much better. That Noriyuki Mori had like 3 or 4 of. I can't. Concerted Defense might be the name. It's kind of similar to that, but better in my opinion. Very nice. Next up, Wedding Invitation. 2-mana artifact. This is, the invitation to Olivia's wedding. Apparently she's marrying some guy called, oh my goodness, I do not remember, but it's not Sorin. Sacrifice Wedding Invitation. Target creature can't be blocked this turn. If it's a vampire, it also gains lifelink. Oh, that's sick. That is a sweet, unfortunately, very congested too. I guess in draft, that's going to be so sick to pick vampires. But I think in general, we'll try and figure a way to find a couple spots in the deck for this thing. Because I like that. Giving any vampire lifelink is great. Because that actually frees up slots in like the 3-drop slot where we had to have. There's very few vampires with lifelink at the moment. There's only 2 in black and red. So interesting, but interesting choice. I would think there'd be more because, they suck blood. Anyway. Next up, Dig Up. And this is where we see another new mechanic. Cleave. And I quite like this one. It's going to be funky to see how they figure it out on Arena so it's easy for us to see. And I can't imagine how much of a nightmare this would be in paper. But basically, it's an alternate mana cost. So it's either 1 green mana and you don't read the cleave thing, you just read the thing there. Search your library for a basic land, reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle, which is also pretty good. But you can also cast it for its cleave cost. And here it's like becomes a Golgari card. It has some black, so it ends up costing you 4. 1 colorless, 2 black, 1 green. And then basically you cleave out the words in the square brackets. So then it just becomes search your library for a card, put it into your hand, and shuffle. So it's a 4-mana tutor for anything with very little downside other than the added cost. There's no and you lose 2 life or whatever. So I think that's actually really, really powerful. And I think it's going to see quite a bit of play. That's my prediction for Dig Up. I think that's a really strong card. And I think that's why it's ranked, Next up, finally, this one is going to be sweet. I don't know how many you can fit in the deck. Probably 2. Late game, top deck, Crimson Bride, Olivia. It's like the whole set is about her. And I'm just a little bit weirded out that she's so expensive. But I guess it's because, like I said, the deck is so clogged up. And it's confused. It doesn't know if it wants to be an aggro deck or a mid-range deck. I think this kind of opens up the door to make it a little bit more mid-rangey version. And have this crazy top end with both Sorin and Olivia. But it's a 6-mana that has haste. So it comes into play and straight away does its thing. You swing in straight away with her. Flying haste. Whenever she attacks, you return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped and attacking. So that is really, really cool. For many things that could have at that point have been put into your graveyard, either by yourself, with all of these blood tokens, or, plenty of other ways, or the opponent just killing your stuff. And then as soon as Olivia comes in, I've been doing something similar to this, and you'll see it. Those of you who will come and join me later for tonight's vampire video. I've got another couple of really sweet vampire decks that I've been brewing up. I've been doing a similar thing with, what's her name? Drana, the last blood chief or whatever. But you have to, give her haste or wait until the next turn, and then she attacks. And she costs 5 mana. This is 1 more mana, but it straight away can attack. And it starts bringing stuff back. The problem is, as soon as you don't have a legendary vampire on the battlefield, all those creatures get exiled. Instant. So it's pretty dodgy. Your opponent can just straight away kill your Olivia, and then those things can't be reanimated. See, that's why I was saying earlier, it's good that there's other legendary vampires, And there's also, don't forget, the 3-drop guy that we just got in Midnight Hunt along the curve, so that then if they target and remove Olivia, the creatures that she got back to the battlefield don't get exiled straight away, because you've still got another legendary vampire on the board. It'll be interesting to see. Maybe a 1 or a 2 of. And then we come to the Planeswalker that I knew was coming, Sorin, a vampire Planeswalker. We got the Werewolf Planeswalker. Now we have, the vampire set. We're getting the vampire Planeswalker. Look at the top card of your library. You may reveal that card and put it. So you may, and you put it in your hand. If you do, you lose life equal to its mana value. So if it's a land, you obviously don't lose life, which is pretty cool. It's the only way of plussing it up. So hopefully you're just hitting lands every time with it, so you don't lose life. But if you you need the card, then you need to sort of play that line. But the interesting thing is that it has a way of mitigating that life loss, because the -2 creates this is great, a 2/3 black vampire creature token with flying and lifelink. So you probably come in, make the 2/3, so it protects itself, and then you start plussing from there. So it'll be from 2, but you need to get up to 7. So you need to plus it, 5 times. But you can come off the board pretty nicely with other vampires and the following turn and stuff like that. And you're doing that by +1ing, because you're revealing the top card of your library, putting it into your hand, and then just attacking with your life linkers to make up for the life loss. And most of the vampires you'll be revealing off the top of your library are like 3 or 2 mana, so it's not too much life loss. And then if you can get to 7 loyalty, -7, Sorin the Mirthless deals 13 damage to any target. You gain 13 life. Just go down, end the game. And it's a 4 mana Planeswalker. 2 colorless and 2 black. Wow, black's been getting all the good Planeswalkers, huh? Apparently there's Kaya and Chandra. So we're gonna get some interesting red Planeswalker and probably another black and white one. Interesting. But I like Sorin. This is gonna be, I'm gonna definitely test it on day 1. Cannot wait to play with this card. Next up, I haven't seen this one. Overcharged Amalgam, a zombie horror for 4 mana, 3/3 with flash. Oh yes, I did see this. This is cool. This is a cool exploit. So it has flash. Okay, so you hold up mana and you have 4 mana open. The opponent casts something. You flash this in and you sacrifice one of your decaying zombies. I mean, this even fits in the zombie deck. When you exploit a creature, counter target spell, activated ability, or triggered ability. Are you kidding me how good this card is? I think this is super duper good in the zombie deck. And you can take out counter spells, because you just have counter spell that's a creature. It's kind of like the new hermit guy. This is so much more broader. It only costs 1 more mana than a normal counter spell would anyway. You've already got decaying zombies lying there that you don't need. Just flash it in. Counter spell, activated ability, triggered ability, and then you still end up with a 3/3 flyer. I think this is gonna be freaking good. And yeah, definitely going in the zombie deck on day 1 again. Can't wait. And then we come to the last card, where training makes a comeback. We've already talked about training. This seems to be the first mythic with training. Savior of Ollenbock. 3 mana human soldier. Whenever trains, exile up to 1 target creature from the battlefield or creature card from a graveyard. I like that. So you can either do it to the opponent's creature, so exiling stuff from the battlefield or from your own graveyard. And then when the savior dies, you return, all of that stuff to the battlefield under their owner's control. I would probably use it on my own stuff in the graveyard. Bring it back at the end. Start attacking. Exile stuff from the graveyard. And then if they finally kill it, you get all that stuff back again to the battlefield. I like that. It would be cool if it was when it enters the battlefield, not just when it trains. Trains, exile. This creature attacks with another creature with greater power. Be interesting to see this training thing, how it plays out. Coven's been pretty rubbish so far, and it hasn't come back, which I was hoping it would. So the Coven deck is just looking worse and worse. You're gonna have to try and smudge together some of the best cards of training with some of the best cards from Coven. I'm hoping they did some good synergy there in testing and won't disappoint us, because I've been looking forward to playing humans in Coven. I've even recorded videos that were not uploaded to the channel. I did 3-4 videos of Coven. It's just not happening. Alrighty, so we've come to the end of the spoilers for today. Quite a bit. Pretty freaking sweet so far. And I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. I'll be doing this every day of spoiler season, keeping you posted, discussing. I want to start a conversation. Everything. What do you guys think? What type of decks? Where would you put these cards in existing decks that you have? Are you really getting your brew juices are flowing? I know mine are, and yeah, I want to start a bit of a discussion in the BrewLab community. So leave some comments down below. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already. And yeah, I'll see you all in the next video. 2 vampire decks later tonight. I'm kind of warming up for this vampire theme. I know another vampire deck. I've done a lot already, but these 2 are completely new again, and I think they're ones that have gaps in them that are just waiting for some of the cards that have already been spoiled tonight, just to make them so much better on day one. And I will talk about that, when I'm in the deck tech of that video. So see you all there, and until then, this is Lone Fox from the BrewLab signing out. Peace, yo.